My stepmother said I was too selfish to help with Grandpa's headstone. I wrote her a check for $3,200 anyway. Then the lawyer called about the will reading. I should have known something was wrong when Linda started crying at Grandpa's funeral. Not the quiet tears you'd expect from someone losing their father-in-law, but the loud, theatrical sobs that made every relative within 20 feet turn to comfort her. Meanwhile, I sat there thinking about how I'd need to work 3 extra shifts this month to cover the funeral expenses she'd already hinted I should pay. Sarah never visited him enough. She whispered to my Aunt Carol, her voice carrying just far enough for me to hear. Too busy with her fancy nursing job to care about family. I bit my tongue. I'd visited Grandpa William every Sunday for the past 2 years, bringing him homemade cookies and playing chess, while Linda claimed she was too emotional to see him deteriorating. But pointing that out would only give her more ammunition about how I was argumentative and thought I was better than everyone. After the service, Linda cornered me by the condolence table, mascara strategically smudged. "Sarah, honey, I hate to bring this up now, but we just can't afford a proper headstone. Grandpa would be so disappointed if we had to use one of those cheap metal markers." My fiancé Michael squeezed my hand, a warning I should have heeded. Instead, I pulled out my checkbook. $3,200. Most of my wedding savings gone in 30 seconds of guilt and family obligation. "You're such a good daughter," Linda cooed, already folding the check. "Not everyone would sacrifice for family like this." That night, Michael found me stress-eating leftover cake at our tiny kitchen table. "How much this time?" he asked gently. "It's for Grandpa's headstone. It's important. Sarah." Michael sat across from me, his math teacher brain probably calculating. "You've given them $800 every month for over a year. Plus Jessica's car repair last month. What was that? $1,500. And now this." "Family helps family," I repeated Linda's favorite phrase. "Does family help you back?" I couldn't answer that. When was the last time Linda or my stepsister Jessica had helped me with anything? When I got food poisoning last winter, Michael brought me soup while Linda texted that she was too busy to check on me. When my car broke down, I took the bus for 3 weeks while Jessica posted Instagram stories from inside her BMW. "My cousin Emma called today," I said, changing the subject. She wanted to know why I wouldn't help Jessica with her apartment deposit. Apparently, Linda told the whole family I'm being selfish with money. Michael's jaw tightened. "What apartment deposit?" $2,500. "Linda says Jessica needs to move out of her current place because the rent went up." "Sarah, Jessica drives a car worth more than what you make in 3 months. She posts pictures of designer handbags online. And you're riding the bus to work because you can't afford car repairs." I wanted to defend my family, but the words felt hollow. For 16 years, ever since Dad remarried, I've been the family's reliable one. The one with a steady job, no kids, no real expenses. The one who could always spare a few hundred for emergencies that seemed to happen every month. The truth started unraveling 3 days after the funeral. Linda had given me a box of Grandpa's papers to handle, claiming she was too overwhelmed to deal with legal documents. As I sorted through bank statements and medical bills, one recurring payment caught my attention. $420 monthly to Toyota Financial Services, Jessica's car payment. I called the number, pretending to be inquiring about my grandfather's account. The representative confirmed William Mitchell had been making payments on a 2019 Toyota Camry registered to Jessica Mitchell for the past 18 months. My hands went cold. That was nearly $8,000. Money I thought Grandpa barely had. Given how often Linda complained about his fixed income, I kept digging. Bank statement after bank statement showed monthly transfers of $1,200 to Linda's account, labeled household expenses. But Linda had been telling everyone that Dad's pension barely covered their bills, which was why she needed my $800 every month. The math was staggering. Over the past 3 years, Grandpa had given Linda's family over $52,000. Then I found the credit card statements. Jessica had 4 cards, all co-signed by William Mitchell. The total balance made me sick, $23,467. Designer clothes, expensive dinners, weekend trips to Las Vegas, all charged to cards my elderly grandfather was legally responsible for. I called Michael, my voice shaking. "Can you meet me at Grandpa's old apartment? I need a witness." When he arrived, I showed him everything. Bank records, credit card bills, canceled checks. A paper trail of systematic financial abuse spanning years. Your stepmother convinced your grandfather to pay for everything while guilt-tripping you into giving her money too. Michael said, his teacher voice clinical and calm. "Sarah, this is financial elder abuse," but she wouldn't look at the dates. He spread the statements across Grandpa's kitchen table. "Here's Jessica's car payment starting 18 months ago. Here's Linda's monthly allowance going back 3 years. And here," he pulled out my checkbook register. "Is he sending $800 every month for the same 3 years?" She was double dipping. The room felt smaller suddenly. "My own father knew. We need to ask him." Dad answered his phone on the first ring, his voice carefully neutral when I mentioned finding Grandpa's financial records. "Your grandfather wanted to help family," he said. "Linda was just making sure Jessica had transportation to look for work." "Dad, Jessica hasn't had a job in 8 months. And these credit card bills? Now don't go stirring up trouble, Sarah. We're all grieving. Your mother Linda just wanted security for us." The way he said, "your mother Linda," made my stomach turn. She'd never been my mother, and we all knew it. "Did you know she was taking money from both me and Grandpa?" Silence. Then, "Linda manages our finances. I don't ask questions." $23,000 in credit card debt, Dad. Grandpa was responsible for all of it. Well, that's unfortunate. But what's done is done. I hung up, shaking. Michael pulled me close while I cried, not for Grandpa, but for the family I thought I had. The next morning, I drove to Linda's house. I needed to hear her explanation, some reasonable story that would make this all make sense. I found her in the garage, loading shopping bags into her BMW. Designer logos peeked out of every bag. "Sarah, what a surprise." Her smile faltered when she saw my expression. "Is everything okay, honey?" I found Grandpa's bank statements. The color drained from her face, but she recovered quickly. "Oh, those old things. Your grandfather was so generous, wasn't he? Always wanting to help family. He was paying Jessica's car payment and giving you $1,200 a month." "Well, yes, but while you were taking $800 from me for the same expenses?" Linda's mask slipped completely. "Now you listen here, young lady. Your grandfather offered that money freely, and what you give us barely covers groceries for a week. You make good money at that hospital, $68,000 a year. You can afford to help family." The number stunned me. "How do you know my exact salary?" She realized her mistake immediately. Your father mentioned." "Dad doesn't know what I make. I've never told him." My heart was pounding. "Did you run a background check on me?" "Don't be ridiculous." But I was already remembering other things. How Linda always seemed to know when I got raises or bonuses. How she'd time her requests for money right after I'd mentioned saving for something important. How she'd convinced me to co-sign for Jessica's first apartment by mentioning specific details about my credit score. "You've been monitoring my finances." "I have no idea what you're talking about." "The credit cards, Linda. $23,000 that Grandpa was responsible for." Linda's voice turned sharp. "Jessica needed those cards for emergencies, and your grandfather was happy to help his granddaughter. Something you'd understand if you weren't so selfish." "Selfish?" "Yes, selfish. Living in your little apartment, refusing to help Jessica when she needs it, acting like you're too good for family dinners. Your grandfather saw it too, toward the end. He was very disappointed in you." The lie hit like a physical blow. I'd sat with Grandpa every Sunday, listening to him worry about Jessica's spending and Linda's demands for money. He'd never said a word against me. I want copies of every credit card statement and bank record, I said quietly. Absolutely not. Then I'll get them myself. Linda stepped closer, her voice dropping to that dangerous tone I remembered from my teenage years. You'll do no such thing. And if you try to cause problems for this family, you'll regret it. Your father will not be happy if you upset me during this difficult time. I looked at her, really looked at her for the first time in years. The perfect makeup, the designer clothes bought with money meant for groceries. The BMW parked next to Dad's 10-year-old pickup truck. I already upset you? I said. Good. The will reading was scheduled for the following Tuesday. I expected a simple formality, Grandpa's modest estate going to Dad, maybe a few personal items distributed among family. Margaret Reynolds, the estate attorney, had requested all immediate family attend her downtown office. Linda arrived in a new black dress that probably cost more than I made in a week. Jessica wore sunglasses indoors and kept checking her phone. Dad looked uncomfortable in his one good suit. Thank you all for coming, Margaret said, settling behind her desk with official-looking papers. William Mitchell's will is quite detailed, so please hold questions until the end. She began reading the standard legal language, then reached the meat of the document. To my son David Mitchell, I leave my tools and workshop equipment, knowing he will use them well. Dad nodded, unsurprised. To Jessica Mitchell, I leave my collection of chess sets, hoping she might learn to think more than one move ahead. I caught the subtle dig, but Jessica just looked bored. And to my granddaughter Sarah Mitchell, I leave the remainder of my estate, my house at 1542 Maple Street, valued at $284,000. My savings account containing $67,312, and my investment portfolio currently worth $41,000. The room went silent. Linda's mouth fell open. I'm sorry, Linda said, her voice shrill. There must be a mistake. There's no mistake, Margaret continued. Additionally, Mr. Mitchell included a sealed letter for Sarah, which he requested be read aloud. She handed me an envelope with my name, written in Grandpa's careful handwriting. My hands shook as I opened it. My dear Sarah, I read aloud. If you're hearing this letter, then my plan worked, and you're finally free to learn the truth about your stepfamily's treatment of you. Linda started to interrupt, but Margaret held up a hand. For the past 2 years, I have been documenting Linda Mitchell's financial manipulation of both you and me. She convinced me to co-sign credit cards by claiming Jessica needed them for job interviews and work clothes. She told me you were too selfish to help family, which is why I needed to send her $1,200 monthly for household expenses. My voice cracked, but I continued reading. Linda forged my signature on checks totaling over $8,000. She manipulated me into paying Jessica's car payment by claiming it was temporary help. She systematically turned family members against you by telling different stories to different people, always painting you as the villain. Linda shot to her feet. This is ridiculous. He was senile. Mrs. Mitchell, please sit down, Margaret said firmly. The letter is part of the legal record. I discovered the truth 6 months before I died, I continued. Sarah, you visited me every week, brought me food, played chess with me, never asked for anything. Meanwhile, Linda was bleeding me dry while convincing you to send money for the same expenses I was already covering. You were being financially abused by your own family. Tears were streaming down my face now. I am leaving you everything because you are the only one who showed me genuine love without expecting payment in return. Use this money to build the life you deserve, away from people who see you only as a source of income. You owe them nothing. You never did. The letter ended with Grandpa's signature and a date from 6 months before his death. Linda exploded. This is insane. Sarah manipulated a dying old man. I'm contesting this will. Margaret pulled out a thick folder. Mrs. Mitchell, I have extensive documentation of your financial manipulation, including recorded conversations where Mr. Mitchell expressed concerns about your behavior. He worked with me for 6 months to ensure this will could not be contested. She opened the folder, revealing bank statements, photocopied checks, and transcripts. We have evidence of signature forgery, financial elder abuse, and fraud. Mr. Mitchell specifically requested that I contact authorities if you attempt to contest this will. Linda's face went white. You can't prove anything. Actually, we can. Margaret pulled out a small recording device. Mr. Mitchell was quite thorough. She pressed play. Grandpa's voice filled the room, clear and strong. Linda, I need those checks back. The ones you took from my desk. Linda's voice responded. I don't know what you're talking about, William. You're confused again. I'm not confused. You forged my signature on a check to Nordstrom for $860. I have the bank record right here. You signed that check and forgot. Maybe we should talk to your doctor about your memory. Margaret stopped the recording. Mr. Mitchell made over 20 hours of recordings documenting Mrs. Mitchell's manipulation tactics. I looked at Linda, seeing her clearly for the first time. The mask had completely fallen away, revealing something desperate and mean underneath. Linda, I said quietly, I want every penny back. $34,000 over 2 years, plus interest. I don't have that kind of money. Then sell the BMW, cancel the credit cards, get a job. I stood up, feeling stronger than I had in years. I'm also filing a police report about the forged signatures. Sarah, please, Dad said, speaking for the first time. Don't do this to the family. The family did this to themselves. I turned to Margaret. What's my first step? 3 hours later, I walked out of the law office with keys to Grandpa's house, account numbers for his savings, and the phone number for Detective Morrison, who specialized in financial elder abuse cases. Linda had screamed, threatened, and finally begged. Jessica had called me names I won't repeat. Dad had just sat there, looking older than his 61 years. I felt nothing but relief. 6 months later, I'm writing this from Grandpa's kitchen table, which I've kept exactly as he left it. Michael and I moved in after our small wedding, using some of the inheritance money for renovations. The house feels like home in a way my apartment never did. Linda pled guilty to 2 counts of forgery and 1 count of financial elder abuse. She received 2 years probation and had to pay full restitution, $34,000 plus fees. The judge was not sympathetic to her sob story about being a struggling widow, especially after reviewing her spending habits. Jessica's credit card debt was transferred to her name only after I paid it off directly to the banks, protecting Grandpa's estate from liability. She's had to move back in with Linda and get her first job in over a year at a grocery store. Her BMW was repossessed. Dad and I exchange emails occasionally. He's started therapy and admits he knew Linda was manipulating everyone, but was too afraid of conflict to stop it. We're working on rebuilding our relationship, but it will take time. I started a support group for adult children of financial abuse. We meet twice a month at the local library. You'd be amazed how many people have stories similar to mine, families who see successful children as ATMs rather than people deserving love and respect. The best part? I haven't sent a single dollar to anyone demanding family help in 6 months. My savings account is growing. Michael and I are planning a real honeymoon to Ireland next spring. I bought a reliable used car and started contributing to my retirement account. Last Sunday, I visited Grandpa's grave with flowers from his garden, which I've been learning to tend. I told him about my support group, about Dad's progress, about how free I feel. Thank you for seeing the truth when no one else would, I said to his headstone, the beautiful granite one I picked out with his inheritance money, engraved with William Mitchell, beloved father and grandfather, who knew love from manipulation. Sometimes people ask if I feel guilty about cutting off most of my family. The answer is no. Grandpa's letter taught me the difference between family and relatives. Family loves you unconditionally. Relatives expect payment for that love. I choose family now. The family I've built with Michael. The family I found in my support group. the family I'm creating for myself. What do you think? Did I go too far or not far enough?